Hey, I'm James from Smoking Dead BBQ, and I get asked all the time how to pull off a barbecue party when you're not cooking the same thing. So today, I'm gonna cook a brisket, pulled pork, and chicken thighs, and I'm gonna do it all on just one grill. I could make life easier and spread things out over a couple different grills, but I get asked this so often. I wanted to go through the experience of doing it all on just one grill, since that's what pretty much everybody has. So we're cooking for a group of 60. We're gonna do a 20-pound Packer brisket, just over a 5-pound pork shoulder, and about another 5 pounds of chicken thighs. So let's get into it. So I'll be sure to link down below to my 101 videos where I go into complete detail, everything you need to know for a brisket or pork or chicken and things like that. But I won't have time to cover all of that in today's video without making it incredibly long. Instead, what I really want to focus on is this question of how do we get these 3 different proteins with 3 different cook times and characteristics all to come together and land exactly when we want for tonight's dinner at 7:30. So without further ado, I'll give you a quick executive summary and get you caught up to where we are right now, but if you'd like the full blown detail, be sure to check out those 101 videos down below. Now, let's go back to yesterday when I started preparing our 3 different proteins for today's smoke session. So yesterday I started with the cook that's going to take the longest. That's our brisket. And so I got to work trimming that brisket up and keeping that fat in a pot so we could make our tallow. I'll put a link down to that, how to make it, but it's really this easy. Put it in a pot, add 2 cups of water, and just let it simmer till the water's gone, and you're left with tallow after you run that through the strainer. And I was able to get about 2 cups worth of tallow out of the trimmings from this 20-pound Packer brisket. Then I wanted to give it a dry brine. So the dry brine is going to do a couple things. It's going to help give the salt some time to penetrate this thick cut of meat, but most importantly, it's going to help the brisket retain more moisture over the cook. And the advantage of doing the dry brine is that we're preparing everything the day in advance, which allows us to create our own tallow. So there's 0 loss out of this brisket. I absolutely love that. So we put that on a cooling rack and just let it hang out in the refrigerator overnight. Next, got to work on our pork shoulder. So the pork shoulder I'd already seasoned when I put it in a vac seal bag from Costco. And so after drying it off, I just looked to touch it up with a little bit more of my dry brine rub. And just like the brisket, we put that on a cookie sheet and threw that into the refrigerator overnight. And for the chicken thighs, split this into half. We're doing, some will be going for some sandwiches, some will be going in some chili. And so just hit those with 2 different rubs and put them again on a cookie sheet and in the refrigerator overnight so that everything is dry brining all together to get ready for this morning when we're going to start really early. So let's talk game plan. Whether you're doing a party cook where you're cooking a bunch of things or you're just doing one cook like the brisket, I love to have what's called a work back schedule. So that simply in English terms means if we want to cook or be serving our food, for 7:30 tonight, I want to work back from then in terms of when I want to figure out what temperature to cook at and what time I need to start my cook. And so for the brisket, I want no less than a 2-hour rest. You can get away with an hour, but 2 hours is sort of that break-even point where 2 to 4, it comes out really, really close to one another. And so if I want to have dinner at 7:30, that means the brisket needs to be done by 5:30. So using my double indirect method, I already know that I can get a brisket this size done in about 10 hours. So that means I need to have it on the grill this morning at 7:30. So the game plan is to start building our fire around 6:50 to 7. So to build the fire, I did what I always do, just quickly emptied out the charcoal basket, added 2 pieces of smoking wood, loaded it up with some fresh Big Block, used my Grill Blazer grill gun, got a fire going. And since I was in a bit of a hurry this morning, I had a gym that I wanted to be at, which is at 8. I put the deflectors in to help them preheat while everything was coming up to temperature. Once the grill was up to temperature and starting to pass the hand test, drop in the top of the slow roller, drop in my smokeware drip pan, and I just covered that in foil. Lately, I think one of you guys suggested it in the comments. It's so much easier to clean with some foil versus just scrubbing all that baked on fat. So we just layered that up with some foil, threw that in, got our cooking grids, and started to adjust our vents. I went for 1 finger on the bottom vent and just past, maybe a 1/4 inch past the first line on the control tower top until everything stabilized. Sure enough, about 30 minutes later, so right around 7:30 this morning, our grill was up, stable, looking with nice clean blue smoke, and we were able to get our brisket on. I was able to check it, which was great, using the meter app on my watch from the gym, and I could see how things were progressing. And the game plan here was to be cooking anywhere between kind of 280 to 300 degrees Fahrenheit is what I found the perfect temperature for the double indirect method. I set the meter Hey Bella. Okay, I was on my third take and Bella kept jumping up. She wanted to be part of the action, so she's joining us for this little update. So I wanted to set my meter probe for 170 degrees Fahrenheit. That's when I want to transfer to the boat. I find if we go 150, 160 degrees, the bark's not quite set on the bottom, but if we were to go all the way to 185, 190, we've maybe pushed out too much of that tallow and fat, and the brisket is running the risk of drying out. So 170 has been right on the money. Once it hit 170, we just made a quick foil boat, wrapped it up really tight. The benefit of the boat is going to help protect from the bottom. It's going to help retain some of that energy, as well as acting like a sweater. It's going to shorten our cook time. That happened right around noon. So we got the brisket on at 7:30. We hit 170 just shortly after noon. And that's when I wanted to also add the pulled pork. So that's about 7 hours away from when we want to serve it. And for pulled pork, I want at least an hour of rest. And so I threw on the pulled pork, added a meter probe, set that up for about 200 degrees Fahrenheit, and let that continue to smoke. I've been adding wood chips in the bottom drawer. That's about the only way that we can add wood in a double indirect setup or any setup. You don't really want to be lifting your brisket, which has all that rendered tallow, and maybe your foil boat. You've got tallow, you've got your hot cooking grids, and there's just really no good place to put that and be able to access the fire. So by using the ash drawer hack, you can add some smoking wood and just make sure that you're able to keep smoke rolling all day on all of our different proteins. Once our pulled pork starts to get to about 170 degrees also, I'm going to also wrap that in foil for a boat and let the top bark continue to cook, but that'll also start to collect some of that rendered out fat, which will really just help make sure that we get a nice, juicy, tender pulled pork when we go to shred it later on today. Well, how's that for timing? We wanted our brisket done for at least a 2-hour rest, and right on the dot, our brisket came off, and I just let it rest on the counter for about 20 minutes before we wrapped it in paper, poured over some of that tallow, wrapped it in foil, and put it in the cooler. So that's the foil towel cooler, FTC if you ever hear that method. And then exactly an hour later, our pork shoulder came to temp, and so we did the exact same thing in terms of transferring it, wrapping it, and letting it join the brisket in the cooler. And so now all we have left to do is our chicken. So I've just let the grill started to come up to temperature by moving our control tower top a little bit further along. But since we are still just about an hour and 20 minutes away from eating dinner, I'm gonna wait till about 40 minutes to go before throwing the chicken on. So we're gonna do that somewhere between 350 to 400 degrees Fahrenheit, and it should be done in 30 to 40 minutes. Then we'll be able to bring all of our food together. Our chicken will be ready, our pork will be rested, our brisket will be rested, and we can get in for a taste test. I'll see you in a little bit. What a cook. We started off this morning saying we wanted 7:30. We pulled that chicken off 7:31, so a minute exactly from what we wanted our plan. Our brisket has been resting 2.5 hours. Our pulled pork has had just about an hour and a half, and our chicken has just come off the grill. Let's come nice and close, get some slices, and my favorite part, the taste test. All right, check the jiggle out on this brisket. This is gonna be ridiculous. So let's just start right here. Take a look at how we did. Oh, it's so soft. That is a juicy brisket. Let's get a couple slices out of our flat here, see if they passed the, oh my goodness. That flat is just full of juice. Get a piece here. Flop, pass the flop test. Let's see how we do. I can already tell, I just touch it and it pulls right apart. Smoke ring is on point. Let's dig into our pork here and see what this looks like. We'll get a couple shreds here. So you can see great color and smoke ring. I'm going to keep that together, just keep actually a few of these pieces for our taste test. And while I'm here, let's get a piece of chicken. carve that up for our taste test. After a long day of cooking, our party meal is ready. We got 3 different meats to finish exactly when we want. I'm so excited to start with this brisket. Let's go ahead and give this a taste. I just did a brisket last weekend. I think that's safe to say. It's one of the best I've ever done. That's good. You know what? I have the unique privilege of having a cameraman today. Let me pass this to him. Tell me how I did. This is the flat. Oh, dear God. I hope you heard that. It was a yes. Let's go for a little bit of our pork here. Haven't added any of our sauce or anything yet. We'll do that inside where it's a little warmer. Let's try our pulled pork. Oh my goodness. You're going to like this one too. 2 for 2. Let's go for 3 for 3. Chicken. Money. Money. That is remarkable. So what did we take away? First, having a game plan, starting with our work back schedule in terms of when we want to eat, how much time we want to rest, and making some micro adjustments along the way to make sure that we hit our key milestones in terms of rest and cook temperature. But once again, the double indirect method has just turned out an absolute winner. And I hope this video helps you plan your next party. You got people that maybe like brisket, don't like brisket, want something else. You can pull off 3 different proteins all on one grill and get it to land exactly when you want. That's it for today though. I'm James from Smoking Dad BBQ signing off. Don't be afraid to fire it up.